What up, guys? GangstaPranksta bringing you the weekly wrestling review for July 6th and the 13th. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the show, this is where we talk everything about professional wrestling, from news, reviews to predictions. We talk about it all, so if you're a fan of professional wrestling, welcome to the show. On today's show, we got reviews for 2 weeks worth of Raw, Smackdown, Impact, NXT, Ring of Honor, review for TNA Hardcore Justice 2, and we're going to talk about Money in the Bank and lots of wrestling news. So, pack show. Let's get through it real quick. And I'm happy to say I'm kind of on track now. You know, very behind before, but now we're working our way up to where, I'm up to date with everything that's going on TV. So that is great. It's fucking great. So first we're going to talk about the Raw. Shit, I don't really know what happened on this Raw. This was the champion versus champion. That's what they promoted it as, because the main event was Cena Del Rio. So they showed stuff about the WWE World Title, WWE Title, and World Title. And on this show, they just used it to continue to build towards Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank, it looks like a solid card. Not a big fan of the Money in the Bank matches. I think one's completely stacked and the other's like not that good. And we'll talk about more about that later. So this Raw, nothing really big happened. There was nothing monumental. But there was on the next Raw that we'll talk about, which was the Wyatt family debut. And that was interesting. So on this Raw, pretty much nothing. Like I said, more build up towards the Money in the Bank. A couple people I want to talk about. Daniel Bryan. Holy shit, this guy is just in the spotlight for WWE. Like, he's constantly, like I said last week, he's either starting the show or ending the show, and sometimes he does both. And I'm just really happy. Like, the success, the path that he's on right now is just a path of success. And you see him with guys like Orton and Punk and Kane, and from seeing him from like NXT and kind of that whole thing, and then the Nexus, and then he got fired, and then he's back, and now he's kind of like a top guy, and he gets the biggest reactions from the crowd. It's really awesome to watch. Another guy that I want to talk about, Dolph Ziggler. I love him as a heel, and I love him as a face as well, because he's just that cocky, arrogant, cool heel, and I don't know why. I just really like that, and I'm really digging Dolph Ziggler right now. One person I'll talk about. Actually, I'm gonna save that for Money in the Bank. So yeah, that was Raw. NXT. What do we have? We had more of the what's called the NXT Divas Championship tournament. I believe the next episode we'll talk about like the winner and stuff. But yeah, what else is on the show? Antonio Cesaro vs. Bo Dallas for the NXT title. Good match. Bo wins. That's about it. Again, there's nothing much on NXT. Nothing to talk about. Oh, okay. We'll talk about Conor O'Brien kind of finding his new partner. I forgot what his name was. Judas something. And so I'm glad to see that the Ascension is not scrapped as an idea. And they haven't had a tag team match yet. It's more the new guys joining Conor O'Brien out to the ring. But hopefully they'll do some more tag team matches. I was a big fan of the Ascension, like when they were on NXT. But then the one guy fucked up and fucked it up for both of them. So I'm glad they're still continuing with the tag team and idea. Next we got Impact. This Impact was the whole X Division thing. So the week before, they had Suicide, Manik now. We'll talk about that in a second too. Austin Aries pretend to be Suicide, win the NXT title, and whatever. Hogan comes out and says that wasn't fair, so they're gonna have a 3-way for them in the main event for the X Division title. Lots of the Bound for Glory series, lots of matches happen on there. Kazarian and Daniels, I want to talk about them. Every week, they continue to just be some of the most entertaining stuff on TNA. And we're talking about this on Universe. And somebody asked me, like, my top TNA tag teams. And I wrote out the list. And as I was writing the list and I was thinking about TNA tag teams, I was thinking about Bad Influence, and I'm like, wow, in the short time that they have been a tag team, they have just been so fucking good. Whether it be their matches or their promos, they're just they're my favorite thing to watch on TNA, and they were so entertaining. They came out dressed as Siegfried and Roy, which they looked ridiculous, but they're awesome, and they play they're just an amazing tag team. Especially when I wish TNA would bring in a tag team or make a tag team for them to feud with, because like it's good that they're in the Bound for Glory series, because now that the tag team division is kind of dead, they can kind of stay fresh with doing this whole Bound for Glory series, so they don't have to still tag. But you also run the risk of possibly breaking them up if you put them against each other, or one of them has more points than the other. So I would hate to see them break up. They are so good together. They have such good chemistry. They're very entertaining. And we're going to talk about them again in just a second at Hardcore Justice. What else? Oh, you had Robbie E and Jesse. That's the new tag team in TNA right now, the Bromans. And they took on James Storm and Gunner. So they had a little promo the week before, and whatever. And you think it's gonna lead to a feud, but they have a match here, and it was pretty good. But Gunner and Storm win, so it pretty much just kills the whole feud right there. And you bring in a new team or put them together, and you just kill them in one night. So that was great. Uh, there's a lot of potential for Robbie E and Jesse, especially since they have a manager in Tara. And yeah, I don't know why you would fucking just bury them in their first night. You should have had them win, and then fucking build a little tag team between these two. Like, your tag team division's dead. And we'll talk more about a lot. Actually, we're going to talk about TNA a lot in the news section. A lot of bad stuff. TNA not looking too good right now. But yeah. What else we got? Main Event Mafia announced Magnus as their fourth, which, if you know anything about the Main Event Mafia, the whole reason the group was created, it was supposed to be a collection of main event talent all in one group. And that was Sting, Booker T, Steiner, Kevin Nash, and Angle. I guess with this new incarnation, they're like the mid-card Mafia. You know what I'm saying? Like, Magnus just doesn't make sense. I mean, you have Angle, Joe, and Sting, all former world champions. Now, as we're going to talk about Magnus more on the next episode of Impact, but they are really, really pushing him hard. And, with him winning that gauntlet and getting 25 points, and if you keep up with the Bound for Glory series, it really looks like he's going to win. And I know it might have been a month ago by now, when Dixie Carter said, Magnus, he's going to be the future of TNA. I wouldn't be surprised if Magnus is in the main event of Bound for Glory. I really wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I would not like to see that. I like Magnus. I just don't think he's there, like he's ready for that type of thing. Especially the main event of your biggest show. No, not yet. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's just my opinion. What else do we got? Oh, the gut check. So, the last episode there was the Ryan Howe and the Big O. They ended up picking Ryan Howe, and then they just shit all over him when they were in the ring, and they didn't give him a contract. So, who gives a shit about gut check anymore? Honestly, I mean, we're gonna talk about that more in the news section, but like, you hire all these guys for gut check, and then you release them all. So what's the point of gut check? So you can work in OVW and then eventually get released? Like, I don't understand. Anyways, the main event of this Impact was Chris Sabin, Austin Aries, and Manik, formerly known as Suicide, in an X Division title match. Good match. Sabin wins and is the new X Division champion. What are my thoughts on Suicide's new name, Manik? Absolutely terrible. Like, it's just a dumb fucking name. And, they could have come up with something better. Like, I don't know. But, again, these are the same people that are booking the Main Event Mafia, booking Aces and Eights. So their track record of good ideas, not too good. So, we'll just tack Manik as another gem coming from TNA Creative. Next we got SmackDown. I love how they promoted this SmackDown as we're gonna have a special appearance from CM Punk. Like he's so big that they have to promote SmackDown as this big star is gonna come to our show. I thought, wow, that is why SmackDown is just terrible because you have to promote that CM Punk is going to SmackDown. That's so that just shows that SmackDown is the second show, and it's so like it gets shit on by Raw basically. That like that's not where the stars are. The stars are on Raw, and if the stars are on SmackDown, we're gonna let you know. We're gonna let you know that Punk is going to SmackDown. I thought that looked so terrible for SmackDown. But anyways, he had a little thing with Del Rio. He had a match later on. It was a good match. No one won after I believe Ziggler got involved. What else? Orton and Christian, they had a match. That was a good match. Orton won. And that's about it for SmackDown. Next, we got Ring of Honor. Nothing much to talk about. They just showed some of the matches from Ring of Honor Best in the World 2013. So if you didn't watch that, you could go watch a couple matches. Not the whole show, just some of the best ones. Next, we got TNA Hardcore Justice 2. One of TNA's, what do they call it? The one night only. The one night only pay-per-view. So up to this point, we've had the X Division, the Joker's Wild Card, and now Hardcore Justice. I believe those are the three. And you started good with the X Division. The Joker's Wild Card was pretty average to terrible, and Hardcore Justice was completely terrible. It wasn't completely terrible, but it just wasn't a good show. Like, it just felt like it was a waste of time. I did, like, there was one good match. The rest was just to blah. Like, that was it. There's really no reason to watch this pay-per-view. So let's just go through the pay-per-view. It started out fucking terrible. So basically what they do with these one-night only pay-per-view things, they show you a promo, and it's pretty much everything that's going to happen during the show. They'll show you, like, clips of the matches. So you already see some of the things that are going to happen. I fucking hate that, because when you're ruining some of the people that are going to show up, like Too Cold Scorpio, you showed him in the stupid little montage in the beginning. You showed some of the big spots that happened during the matches. And I think this completely kills me wanting to watch it, because you're showing me all the fucking highlights already. So who gives a shit? Plus, the promo looks so fucking terrible, because all they did was just take regular shit and put some camera effect to it, and it just looked terrible. So anyways, we start out with that, where basically I already see the pay-per-view within like the first 3 minutes in that little promo. And then you go to another promo. Like, you start off with two promos. So they start off with the promo package showing shit that you're going to see on the pay-per-view already, which is fucking retarded. And then they show another promo showing some hardcore moments that happened in TNA. They should just scrap the beginning one, show the hardcore moments in TNA, show how hardcore TNA can get. And not that stupid fucking promo package where I'm going to see all this shit already. And, it was just terrible. And I don't remember if it was fucking not Hardcore Justice, the tag team, Joker's Wildcard thing, or the X Division pay-per-view. But they just love to show, like, as soon as the match is over, here are the highlights from the match. Like, they just want to kill time so bad that they just love to, like, in case you missed the match, which you didn't, here's a highlight of it. And oh my god, it's so retarded. They didn't do that here. They did that every couple matches. Like, they do like 2 matches, and then they're like, let's do a recap. Here are some of the highlights from these matches. And that shit needs to stop. Like, just make longer matches, or shorten down the pay-per-view. Pretty simple. Also, one thing I want to talk about, the crowd was absolutely dead for this show. They popped a couple times. But most of the time, the crowd was just quiet, and they did not give a shit about this show. Anyways, let's finally get to this show. Because, after 10 minutes of promos, we finally got to see some wrestling. Every match is a hardcore match. So the first match is the New Church, taking on LAX. Great to see Homicide back in TNA. I wished just a little gripe with the match. I wish Hernandez dressed up like a gangster with Homicide, but he just dressed up in his regular shit that he wrestles with. I was kind of like, you couldn't dress up in like some jeans and a fucking wife beater. Whatever. That's just a little gripe. So this was a pretty good match to start this show. Um, it was just a whatever match. It was not the best tag team match ever. It was just a passable match for the opening. Next we had Jackie Moore versus ODB. This match was bad. I did not enjoy watching this. One, this went so long. They tried to do some funny spots with, instead of using weapons, they brought in like makeup and what's called hand lotion and shit. And this was just a terrible match. It went like 10 minutes. It's boring as fuck. They tried to do funny shit. It just failed miserably. Oh, fucking terrible. Next, we got the best match of the night, which was Bad Influence versus Generation Me. Of course, Bad Influence would have the best match of the night. They actually cut a really good promo before the match. I really enjoyed it. It really got me into this match. So anyways, Bad Influence versus Generation Me in a ladder match for $20,000. I don't know why you added that stipulation. Like, people are supposed to believe this shit. Aren't you firing people so you don't go bankrupt and you can make some money back? And you're supposed to make me believe that this match was for $20,000? Okay. Anyways, so like I said, this was the best match of the night. It was a solid tag team match. They did some crazy spots with the ladder. Very high-paced, fast action, crazy spots. This is everything you want in a ladder match. Probably the only reason to watch... Don't even watch this pay-per-view. Just watch this match, because that was the only thing worth it. And yeah, that's about it. Next, we have a hardcore gauntlet with Too Cold Scorpio, Devon Storm, Funaki, Shark Boy, Little Guido, Johnny Singer, Sam Shaw, Crimson, and Gunner. This was a pretty good match. It went like 20 minutes. And, the best part of the match was seeing Too Cold Scorpio, make his return to TNA. I would love for them to bring him in and do some stuff in the X Division. They even talked about it on the announce table, like, oh, Scorpio, Too Cold Scorpio, he's kind of the innovator of all this X Division stuff, and, he's a very underrated wrestler, so I'm like, why wouldn't you bring him in then? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have no problem bringing in a bunch of old guys, like Sting and Scott Steiner and Kevin Nash, and I know Too Cold Scorpio, he's not that old, he's older, he might be like 40, but he can still go, like, he still did some crazy spots, and the crowd loved seeing him, so I don't know why they didn't bring him back, but that's whatever. And yeah, the end was pretty ridiculous. You had Shark Boy take out Crimson and Gunner with the fish. It was just a terrible ending. I hated it. But Shark Boy won pretty good. Like I said, too long. But it was great seeing Too Cold Scorpio. Great seeing Funaki, too. Smackdown, #1 announcer. You should be TNA's #1 announcer. That'd be fun to see him again. What else do we got? Next, we got Aces and Eights taking on James Storm, Magnus, and Hardcore Holly. This is pretty good. Like I said, average match. Storm, Holly, and Magnus win. Next, we got Judas Messias versus Joseph Park in a Monsters Ball match. Seeing Judas Messias again was just a great reminder how much they fucked up that feud between the two of them. Like, I think it was actually Judas Messias' fault that fucked up. Because, like, when he debuted in TNA, and he had the whole thing with Abyss, and pulled Abyss under the ring, and then, he was attacking Sting, and he was making a good impact, and then he just disappeared. I don't know if he was injured, or there were some issues, I forgot what happened, but I'm like, wow, whatever happened to Judas Messias? Because, like, it was so cool to see him, and then he just disappeared, like, quick as shit. So, anyways, he came in, him, and it was great to see James Mitchell, too. And, they were looking for Abyss. Abyss isn't there, so they were going to beat up Joseph Park. This is an okay match. I hate seeing Joseph Park, so, every time I see him in the ring, I cringe. And, this is definitely an instance that happened. So this is okay at best. Park wins, blah. And the main event, Jeff Hardy and Brother Runt taking on Team 3D in a table match. This is a pretty good match. Hardy and Runt win. It was kind of weird because like a table match is no DQ, but then you had to tag in. Like I didn't get it, but whatever. So like I said, this pay-per-view was not good. Definitely check out Generation Me and Bad Influence in the ladder match. That was best match of the night by far. Everything else, like I said, terrible to average. And that's about it. So TNA Hardcore Justice is a fucking dud. Holy shit. And they're promoting these pay-per-views like, oh, we dropped all the pay-per-views so we can do these special pay-per-views. And the special pay-per-views suck. So I don't know. What else do we got? Next we got Raw. This was the Raw where Bray Wyatt debuted. So it starts out. Actually, we're not gonna talk about that. Let's just pick out some stuff to talk about. Oh, Vicky Guerrero came out for her job valuation. It was a pretty good segment. It ends up with Stephanie firing Vicky, and Vince hired Brad. And there was a funny moment. So Vince goes with Vicky. She's crying. He takes her to the back, and he puts his jacket on her. And then, Brad Maddox is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky. You lost your job." She starts attacking him, and Vince is like, "Hey, Vicky, you're gonna ruin my jacket." And it's so funny because it's Vince McMahon. But yeah, that is whatever. So Brad Maddox, new GM of Raw or whatever his position is. Next we got Christian versus Kane. Pretty good match. Kane wins. After the match, the Wyatt family comes out and attacks Kane. So the whole night they promoted like, okay, they sent out an interviewer. They went to where the Wyatt family lives, and I really like that because it reminded me of a movie called VHS. That's definitely a good movie. Check that out. But basically, it was a first-person perspective. It was like a found footage type thing where, he goes to the compound, he sees Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper pops up, and he takes him in the house, and then they meet up with Bray Wyatt. It was just really creepy. And then after the match, they come out, they attack Kane, and give him a pretty brutal beatdown with that whole stair thing. But yeah, I just love the whole build up to it, and yeah, it was great. And one thing I want to talk about is the fans chanting Husky Harris. I can't believe they remembered him as Husky Harris. I thought that was crazy. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but the fact they even remembered him as Husky Harris was crazy. But a lot of people were upset with people calling him Husky Harris, but hopefully, this character, I think it'll make them forget about Husky Harris. But then again, he could be like a Tenzai, where, people still call him Albert and stuff. And you're still going to have fans doing that. Which, you know what, they are dicks. Because, those are the same people that complain about WWE not bringing in new talent and not making new, interesting characters. And then you have an interesting character like Bray Wyatt, and then you try and shit all over it by chanting Husky Harris. So, you can't please everybody, I guess. But, I can't wait to see what the Wyatt family does next. I don't know if they're gonna appear at Money in the Bank. They probably will. But yeah, that was that. And the main event was CM Punk versus Orton. They had a good match. Punk wins, and then they did some stuff with the ladder after that match. Next we got NXT. The main event was the Wyatt family taking on William Regal, Corey Graves, and Adrian Neville. Good match. Wyatt family wins. What else we got? We got Impact. This was the Joker's wildcard tournament with all the Bound for Glory series members. They had some good matches. What else? Oh, Aces and Eights vote Mr. Anderson as the new VP of Aces and Eights. Gail, Kim, and Terrence Harrell. This is their ladder match. They actually had a good ladder match. I enjoyed watching this. They did some crazy stuff. Gail ends up taking the victory, which I was very surprised about because you have Mickey, she's a heel. You have Gail, she's a heel. I thought for sure they would have gave Terrence Harrell the belt. Or not the belt, but like the number one contendership. But they did not. What else we got? Oh, the main event. The main event was a gauntlet match. It was a good match. Magnus wins. But after that, we had Hulk Hogan come out, bring out Chris Sabin. Sabin cashes in his belt. Bully Ray comes out and says, Sabin's not going to be able to beat him. And then Sting comes out and announces the final member of the main event Mafia to round out Magnus, Samoa Joe, Sting, and Kurt Angle. It is Rampage Jackson. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I guess it's okay, but like we talked about last week, wrestling's not his main priority, so who gives a shit? I don't know why they would do that. I guess just to have him on TV and try and get more ratings, but whatever. More power to TNA. Just check that on the. I don't know. I hate the main event Mafia. Them adding him to it just makes me hate it even more. Yeah. Next we got SmackDown. I don't think there's really anything to talk about. Oh, we can talk about Caitlyn and AJ. They come out for a contract signing. They go back and forth. I'm enjoying this feud too, because the Divas division finally has a good feud. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to compare it to Trish and Lita, but I guess they're like the Trish and Lita of this generation of divas. You know what I'm saying? AJ's really good, Caitlyn, she's good, and I guess I don't want to compare it to them, but that's the only comparison right now. So yeah, I'm really liking AJ as champion too. She's doing a good job. And that's about it for SmackDown. Next we got Ring of Honor. What do I want to talk about? So I want to talk about Steve Corino real quick. Steve Corino is fucking awesome. He is an announcer with Kevin Kelly, and he just does such a fucking good job at being a heel announcer. And I'm a huge Steve Corino fan. I think he's a great talker, very underutilized talker. That's one of his main his strengths. And he does such a good job as the heel announcer. It just made me realize that WWE, they need someone like Steve Corino, someone that just shits on guys like John Cena and Punk and Daniel Bryan, all these good guys. You listen to the announce team, and the only one that's really a heel is JBL, and that's just when he picks on Michael Cole. They need someone or even have JBL go back to his old ways to where he is that heel and he just shits on all the baby faces. I think that'd be great. But Steve Corino, he is doing such a good job as the announcer in Ring of Honor. I love it. I fucking love his commentary. So, especially during the Veda Scott Mischief match. Oh, the baby maker. Oh, he just kicked her in the memories. He was just on point. He's hilarious, and I love him. I think he's doing such a good job. Main event of the show is Matt Taven versus Eddie Edwards for the TV title. This is a good match. Matt Taven wins. And if you want to know how to watch Ring of Honor, what you want to do is you want to go to ROHWrestling.com, sign up for a free account, and you can watch the show every Thursday is when they upload a new episode. Next, we got Money in the Bank. I'm not really going to go through the whole pay-per-view. I'm just going to talk about a few things. The pre-show match, Shield versus the Usos. I'm excited that the Usos are finally getting a push. I think they're going to have a good match with Shield. I can't wait for that. Ryback and Chris Jericho. It seemed like they were going to go with Chris Jericho, Ziggler, and Del Rio into three-way, and then they pulled back on that, and then they had a little backstage segment with Jericho and Ryback, and that's what kind of led to this match. Other than that, I think it should have been Del Rio, Ziggler, and Jericho, and then you have Ryback in one of the Money in the Banks. I think that would have been better, but whatever. But yeah, other than that, this is what I wanted to talk about later. Ryback, oh my god, I hate his character now. He is so fucking annoying. And they're just ruining him, honestly. First you have him as the badass, and he's just destroying everybody. And now he's like the coward, and you have him like cry back and whatever, and he hurts his leg, and then he calls off the match and shit like that. And it's just, oh my god, I think it's awful what they're doing with Ryback. Oh my, I can't even talk about it. It's just so fucking terrible, in my opinion. Ryback's horrible right now. What else do we got? Curtis Axel versus Miz. Yo, they've been building up to this feud. Not really a big fan of Miz. Big fan of Curtis Axel. I think he's doing great as IC champion. I expect him to retain. I expect AJ to retain. I expect Ryback to win. The Shield to retain. Next we got Del Rio and Ziggler for the world title. I don't know. I fucking hate Del Rio now too. Like he's so fucking boring. Like honestly, I fucking hated him as a face. Like he can have decent matches, but just his character is just so bland and boring to me. Like I hate it. So I don't know. I hope Ziggler wins, and I don't know what to do with Del Rio at this point. But now that he's alone, no more Ricardo Rodriguez. We'll talk more about that in a second. And next we got John Cena versus Mark Henry for the WWE title. Honestly, I don't see Mark Henry dropping it or winning. Like if you think Mark Henry has a chance of winning, you're crazy. Cena's gonna win. And of course, we already know that he's going to take on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam, so that should be interesting. Last thing I want to talk about on Money in the Bank, the actual Money in the Bank matches. So you have Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, RVD, Christian, Sheamus, and CM Punk, and it was supposed to be Kane, but he got taken out by the Wyatt family, all in one match. And then you have Damien, Sandow, Cody Rhodes, Fandango, Dean Ambrose, Wade Barrett, Jack Swagger, Antonio Cesaro in one match. The All-Star match is stacked, and I get the whole purpose. You have the All-Star match, which is, former champions, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other match, which is, like, the mid-card guys, all in one match. It's all, like, potential future WWE stars. I think this is a terrible concept, because, like, you have one Money in the Bank stacked, and then the other one for the one with Dean Ambrose, Damien Sandow, and all those guys, there's no babyface. So it's like, who gives a shit about this match? It's all heels. Like, who cares, honestly? In my opinion, what they should have done as far as the Money in the Bank matches, and you guys probably already saw from the videos. So if I were doing the Money in the Bank matches, what I would do is I would put Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, CM Punk, RVD, Wade Barrett, and Fandango in one Money in the Bank. And then in the other, I'd put Damien Sandow, Cody Rhodes, Sheamus, Dean Ambrose, Christian, Antonio Cesaro, and Jack Swagger. That way, the Money in the Banks aren't, like, completely shit. Well, the one was going to be good. The other one was probably going to be good, but just no baby faces. It just makes the match look terrible. This way, you still have, like, I already know that Damien Sandow and Randy Orton are going to win, because people like to spoil shit for me. Even though I say, hey, don't spoil shit for me, they still like to do it. I don't know why. Dicks. All of you are dicks. So that way, you can still have Orton win, and you can still have Sandow win, and the match is not going to be total shit. Well, like I said, the one would probably be good with RVD and shit. The other one was just, it looks so terrible. And it would all make sense. You got Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. They're kind of having a thing. In the other one, you have Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes. Of course, Damien Sandow and Sheamus, they're coming off a feud. You have Dean Ambrose and Christian in the same one because they're currently having a feud. I'm expecting them to have a U.S. title match at SummerSlam. You had Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger and the Damien Sandow and Rhodes Scholars, like they were having issues on SmackDown or Raw, and it would all make sense. None of these Money in the Banks are stacked. They seem pretty even. And but whatever. The ones they have now, like I'm excited for the Randy Orton RVD Christian one and all that stuff. The other one, I really don't care. Like, honestly, I do like Dean Ambrose and Wade Barrett and all those guys, but there's no babyface, so who gives a shit? That's just my thinking. So I think my Money in the Banks are better. But I think all my shit's better than whatever the wrestling companies do. So that's that. Next, we got some wrestling news to talk about. And, of course, we'll have Money in the Bank review next episode of Weekly Wrestling Review. But before I let you go, let's talk about some wrestling news, some big stuff that happened. First, Ricardo Rodriguez was suspended for 30 days after failing a wellness policy test. Um, the backstage thing that's going on was he was trying to take fat burners, trying to get in shape. I don't know why he wouldn't work out, but, that's supposed to be the reason why he failed the test, which, it's a pretty shitty thing, but I remember Mysterio getting suspended for something, and he had the, the prescription for it, so, some people catch some bad luck. Maybe he was actually doing something illegal. So that's why he got suspended. I don't think he'd get suspended for any other reason. What else? Next, there's WWE. It's being reported that WWE is very confident in Sting joining their roster at the end of the year. Possibly for... They didn't give a time frame, but they said he might join eventually. Like, they're pretty confident. And with us talking about TNA in just about a second, definitely, I wouldn't be surprised. TNA just seems to be, all the reports that you're hearing right now, just them firing people, them paying people late. It does not look good. So, you probably want to get off the sinking ship before it, curve flushes under the sea. So, not completely surprised. But Sting has always been very vocal about not going to WWE, but... you gotta go where the money goes, so. Will we see Sting in WWE? Possibly. I wouldn't doubt it right now. Especially right now. But before we talk about the TNA stuff, WWE, do they have plans to turn the Wyatt family face already? So it's being reported by the Wrestling Observer that WWE's ultimate goal is to eventually turn the Wyatt family into a babyface. What? Are you fucking kidding me? The Wyatt family is a babyface? I don't know how in the fuck that would work. But, yeah, they should not be too concerned about turning the Wyatt family into some babyfaces. I mean, I don't know how you're going to turn this creepy guy and his two minions into a babyface. That boggles my mind. I mean, if I really thought about it, I could probably come up with some shit, but at this moment, no. Like, keep them heels. I mean, I know they have a lot of heels right now. At least a lot of heel factions. They have the Shield, they got Zeb Coulter's Militia. I guess you can consider a three-man band a heel group, but they barely appear, so that's alright. And, I don't know. They should not even be thinking about turning them babyface yet. Like, not yet. I don't even know why you would, but definitely not yet. I mean, they just came, so... Yeah. So last but not least, we're going to talk about TNA. So, when was this? They released, July 3rd. They released Joey Ryan, Madison Rayne, Crimson, Christian York, Taylor Hendricks, and Matt Morgan. It's sad to see Joey Ryan go. Madison Rayne, she hasn't appeared in a while, so that's whatever. Crimson, they brought him back. They had him on the one-night-only pay-per-views. They brought him back only to lose to Joseph Park, so it seemed like they were going to start using him, and then they just got rid of him, so that kind of sucks. I liked Crimson when he was, like, first in there, and then as they got on, then he kind of turned heels, whatever to me. Christian York, I'm very surprised about. I mean, he hasn't been used in a while, but, like, him out of all the gut check people actually, like, had good matches and, did some impressive stuff. I'm surprised he didn't win the X Division title, honestly. But, yeah, he got released. That sucks. And Taylor Hendricks, that sucks too, because, the women's division is pretty lackluster right now. Very small and lackluster. And yeah, so, like, all these, or most of the people, at least 3 of them, were from Gut Check. Oh, and we'll talk about Matt Morgan in a second, but, like, all these people are getting released from Gut Check. Alex Silva, Sam Shaw. I don't remember if Sam Shaw got released, but Alex Silva, Joey Ryan, Chris New York, Taylor Hendricks, they're all gone. So now it's like, who gives a shit about Gut Check? That's why I asked earlier, like, who gives a shit about Gut Check? I mean, they're still going to bring in new people anyways. So, like, it just makes Gut Check look like a joke and look very shitty. So, I don't know why they still do it. So, yeah, they're all gone. Next, Matt Morgan getting fired or released, whatever. Kind of surprised there because, he was doing the whole thing with Hogan, and then they kind of just dropped that, and then he didn't appear, and then, now he's released, so, I don't know. It seems like really terrible on TNA's part just to be releasing all these guys. And they also released Doc. We're not going to talk about that because that didn't happen in this whole time frame. But they ended up releasing Doc, and, like, if you're watching TNA, I don't know if they did an angle, maybe they did on the other 2 weeks after Money in the Bank, where, like, Doc got released from their Aces and Eights or something. Like, they did an injury angle and took him off. But, like, he was in the middle of, like, a kind of feud with Mr. Anderson, and that gone now, down the drain. So, TNA is just not looking good right now. Well, some of the people that they released is fine because they weren't being used. But, the whole reason a lot of people were being released is because of the money. And there's being reports that, like, with TNA going on the road every Impact now and doing shows and, like, all over the states, that, it's very expensive for them to run. They have all these people in their contracts, so, like, now they're releasing them, but they're still paying the talent late. So, and it's not just the wrestlers. Apparently, people that work in the TNA offices in Nashville, they're getting paid late too. And it just does not look good for TNA right now. I mean, why, like, honestly, you have to question them signing a guy like Rampage Jackson. Like, he's not going to add ratings to your show. He's just a big money pit. And, you kind of fucked yourself by, signing all these stupid celebrities, Jenna Maraska, Pac-Man Jones, King Mo. Fucking King Mo. They probably threw him a big-ass contract, and he hasn't done shit. And if he ever does appear on TNA, he's not going to do shit. And pro wrestling fans don't give a fuck about seeing some MMA guy on a wrestling TV show. Like, they just don't give a shit. Some people might, but the majority of the wrestling fans, they don't give a shit about MMA wrestlers. That's why they watch wrestling. So, God, just TNA just shooting themselves in the foot. And, there's a new X Division title coming, and that just looks like a piece of shit. We'll talk more about that on the next show. But, I don't know, just so many issues with TNA, and apparently there's issues with OVW and TNA. And it just is not looking good right now. It is not looking good for right now. There are being some reports that, like, TNA might not even be open by the end of the year. Like, I think those are very over-exaggerated thoughts, but you know what? You never know. So, let me just check my list of topics. So, a bunch of people getting released, being paid late. I don't know how late they're being paid. One source noting that some talent have complained about being 2 months late. Being paid 2 months late, that is ridiculous. Like, that is some ECW shit. Like, ECW, they could barely pay their wrestlers. Like, they still got paid, but, sometimes they'd get paid late, or sometimes, they wouldn't get paid at all. So, I don't know. It looks very shitty on TNA right now, and, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up releasing more people. But it's kind of their own fault because they're always constantly bringing in more people. And they already had, like, a big roster, but they keep adding to it, and there's people not being fucking used, so just cut them off. But, yeah, I'm just reading some more stuff. Just more stuff about TNA stuff being released. Oh, one thing I want to talk about, has nothing to do with the paychecks and stuff, but apparently TNA has decided to drop the TV title. They said there are no plans for the belt to be used, but the company officials feel like the belt could be used again if need be. And they have decided to focus more on the 3 main titles, the World title, X Division title, and Tag Team titles. And first, your World title, that's fine right now. Your X Division title, it could be more in the spotlight, but it's alright for right now. The tag team division is fucking trash. You don't have any tag teams. How are you going to focus on your tag team division when you have no fucking tag teams? And plus, you're releasing everybody. I still don't know why they haven't had, like, Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff team up and go after the titles. No fucking idea. Like, honestly, that is so fucking retarded. That's an easy team right there, but whatever. What else? And the Knockouts title, there's not a lot of knockouts, so yeah, I don't know about that. What else? I think that's about it. Honestly, it was a pretty long show. I had a lot of stuff to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Catch us next time. We're gonna have reviews for Money in the Bank, Raw, SmackDown, Impact, NXT, Ring of Honor. Probably some more wrestling news, some more TNA stuff. I don't know if they're doing better at this point or not. I haven't been keeping up. But yeah, not looking too good for TNA. Hopefully we'll have an update next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Catch us next time. Until then, guys, peace out.